thrifted an old coffee table and gave it a big makeover. I'd like to share my entire DIY process with you and hope it can give you some ideas and inspirations. For this project, I want to keep the wood finish instead of painting it over, so it does take some elbow grease, but the end result is so worth it. I just love how this refinished coffee table looks, and the wood texture definitely adds a lot of warmth to our living room. This DIY project is actually really affordable. For the tools and materials, most of them are very basic. I'll also make sure to link everything in the description in case you are looking for the exact one I have used. So let's get started. This is the before of the coffee table. I got it for only $10. Most of the pieces are made of hardwood, which makes it possible for me to refinish it. However, the original stain is very dark, which doesn't work in my living room style. Also, it was a little bit flimsy, so some joints just need to be adjusted. The first step is to give it a good wipe and also tighten all the loosened screws. Then we started to remove the old varnish with a varnish stripper. We applied a layer of citristrip and let it sit for a while based on their instructions on the back. And then we used a putty knife to remove the old varnish. We were able to get most of the varnish out, but not all of them. So moving on to the next step. For the next step, we did a pass with the rotary sander to fully expose the original wood grain. For the corners, we use a multi-tool that has a sander attachment that can go into the corners. Removing the old finish is actually the part that takes the longest, but I really want to preserve the wood, so I think it's worth it. However, not every part of this coffee table is made of solid wood. For example, the two drawers. During sanding, some of the particle board's texture were exposed. I ended up using some wood putty to patch it up. It's not ideal, but luckily it's just a small area. Next, it's time to give it a brand new wood stain. I tested some color on a sheet of plywood that has a similar wood grain and base color, and eventually landed on weathered oak finish by Minwax. Before staining, we made sure that all the sanding dust were removed. I personally find it easier to use a blower to remove all the dust. And then we got into the fun part, which is staining. I like to use a rag for staining wood because I can complete the applying and wiping stain in one action. And this is what the stain looks like. It's subtle, but I really like the personality it adds to the piece. I also added a waxing step, but this step is totally optional. I used some white wax to give the wood finish a slightly whitewash look. I applied it with a chippy brush and then wipe it using a rag. It adds a little patina to the finish, which I love. To protect the finish and make the furniture more durable, I use a water-based poly to seal everything. I used the matte finish because I want the wood to look raw. I gave it a total of 3 coats. Now the hardwares. The original drawer poles were in the bronze finish. I used the rub and buff to give it a gold finish. A quick trick I like to use is using a clean rub to apply it so you can keep your fingers clean. By the way, I painted the inside of the drawer because it's not visible from the outside, so I can skip the stripping and staining process. So that is the process for this DIY furniture makeover. It takes some time and effort, but I'm very happy with the outcome. Here is the finished look. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and be sure to like this video or subscribe to my channel. Bye!